This week, on a special edition of Detroit Lions Free Agency Wars, another NFL draft has come and gone in the NFL universe. Even with the destruction that's been caused by COVID-19, the NFL still did a draft anyway, as in a virtual draft. A draft that has been a massive success. Virtual drafting that has drawn over 55 million viewers in 3 days, including over 16.5 million viewers on night 1 of the draft for round 1. And all in the 3 days, the NFL has also raised over $100 million in relief for COVID-19. Maybe someday this madness will end and we'll go back to a normal draft in the future. But as for now, with another draft here, we have another 9 names to introduce to the Honolulu Blue Brigade, as the Lions have drafted 9 players to help their roster in the near future. So now, it's time to go over these 9 names. So of course, for these 9 names, you know how the draft recap's going to go. From here on out for the rest of the video, all you're going to see is a bunch of voiceovers and pictures. You know the drill, it's the same format we did last year for the draft recap. And at the end, I'll have a little highlight reel for all the picks. So yeah, enough talk, let's go ahead, let's jump into the recap and see how the Lions did in this draft. So to start off for this draft recap, the first player we're going to go over, taken 3rd overall by the Detroit Lions, hailing out of Ohio State, standing 6'1", weighing 200 pounds, we have defensive back Jeff Okudah. So Jeff Okudah, he's your prototype coverage corner, so he's very good in man coverage and zone coverage. He can play any coverage scheme. So for some strong points about him, he's the latest corner to come out in what has become a very impressive pipeline of corners to come out of Ohio State. Like, Ohio State is like the top school for producing top NFL running back, defensive backs, Like, if you want a corner, defensive back, or safety, Ohio State's usually the best place to pull one out of. But anyway, continuing on, Okudah, he's a big corner, plays with size, also has some small man traits, exceptionally quick. He's able to mirror early in the down out of just have any technique. He's truly special when it comes to closing on the ball. Can play off the ball. His quickness combines with his length and sense of timing, allows him to get his hands in there and break up passes. He continues to improve in that area the more reps he plays, so he's really getting it there. He has the patience along with the fluidity to run his hips, flip his hips, and run in press coverage. He also has the core strength, get his hips into a receiver, escort him out of bounds when working the sideline. He has good recovery speed. It's there when he does lose a step. He does a nice job getting his head around and locating the ball. He avoids penalties. He has never been penalized for pass interference or holding in his college career. He even schooled a reporter that tried to call him out on sloppiness at the draft. So he gets bonus points for that because Detroit media is a fucking joke. So he'll usually come up and he can support the run on the perimeter as well. So he can also be good against the run on defense. In terms of some weaknesses, though, he was only a 1-year starter at Ohio State due to their absurdly talented defensive back depth chart. So he could be susceptible to biting more on double moves or other veteran tricks. So he could bite onto some tricks the veteran QBs might learn enough at the start. More ball production would have been nice, though. He did the best he could, though, at the collegiate level, but he had limited playing time, and he combined that with teams avoiding him when he did get on the field. It makes an even more minor concern than it normally could be. But usually when other teams are not targeting you on the field, usually you're doing your job right. Because that usually means that they know you're a big playmaker. And the best way to take a playmaker out is to not even target him. But overall, from Okudah, he has a lot of comparisons to former Detroit Lion Darius Slay. He also has comparisons with Jalen Ramsey of the Los Angeles Rams. And a lot of those comparisons are pretty spot on. He's a true number 1 corner. He's able to travel with opposing number 1 receivers. He can fit into any scheme. So overall, for Okudah's college career, he's played 41 games for Ohio State, had 84 tackles, 1 tackle for a loss, 2 forced fumbles, and 3 interceptions, and all those turnovers came last year, along with 18 passes defended. So, he's a very talented corner. he can come in and be a starter on day one. You know, he can play the scheme. He fits it well. He has all the capabilities to be a franchise corner. Also, another fun fact is that the agency he's with, it's the same agency that LeBron James goes through. Just a quick idea. And also, of course, one of the things we saw on ESPN was the mentioning all the players that had a parent or somebody die. And of course, Okuda's mother passed away in January 2017 from lymphoma. And I believe that was like his first week or so on campus. So yeah, that sucks. And of course, he wears the bracelets to honor her for every game, including one for a Bible phrase called Revelations 21:4. You can just Google it or find a Bible in your house and you can figure out the rest. In case you have any questions about that. You know, Google is your best friend. So yeah, of course, in the draft, Bob Quinn did the normal tradition he's always done, and that is continue to go with the safe pick. And this safe pick might be one that pays off. Top corner. And this is also the second time in 5 years that a defensive back from Ohio State has been taken in the top 5. The other time has been on Denzel Ward with the Browns back in 2018. So, he has a lot of upside. He checks off some boxes in coverage. You know, he'll definitely come in and help the pass defense. You know, with this addition, it also means that the Lions have a pretty good young secondary coming up. You know, with Amani Oriwari, you add Desmond Trufant in there and Darryl Roberts. You know, that's a pretty solid secondary for this year. You also got Deron Harmon and Tracy Walker. Will Harris, if he can get his shit together. So, with the addition of Okuda, the Lions got a promising secondary coming up in the future. So, yeah, Okuda's definitely going to be a star. No doubt. So, yeah, I think we all knew this was going to be the pick entering the draft. This pick was pretty predictable. Like, we all knew the pick was either going to be Okuda and Simmons. And it's like, I guess Bob Quinn just wanted to go safe pick again and chose Okuda. So, yeah, not a bad pickup. He's going to, he's a blue chip defensive back. He's going to be a future Pro Bowler. So, yeah, a solid pickup by the Lions, for sure. So, the next player we have taken in the second round with the 35th pick, the Lions selected, hailing out of Georgia, running back DeAndre Swift, standing 5'9", weighing 215 pounds. So for DeAndre Swift, he's a prototype blocking running back, so he's very good blocking in the pass game, so he can get some protection from Matt Stafford. So for strong points, he's the most complete back in the draft class. He runs with the savvy of a veteran, has vision, which is outstanding, has the patience to allow blocks to come, and he takes advantage of them. He combines it with his good body control, his smooth hips, which allows him to stay at a high gear when he changes direction, and his feel for setting up defenders. Has the ability to string moves together and make tacklers miss on the second level. Shows good initial burst. Runs with excellent balance through contact. Has enough speed to hit the home run after he slips a tackle. He's going to be an immediate contributor in the passing game as well. Has natural hands. Doesn't lose anything to transition from receiver to runner. A lot of NFL teams will be able to line him up in a variety of spots on the offense, so he has some versatility there. And not only as a running back, but potentially as a receiver too. He can also stick his nose in as a pass protector. He's quick to recognize a free blitzer. In terms of some weaknesses, though, he doesn't have the elite speed of some other top backs, and he also doesn't overpower defenders through contact. A lot of his workload was kept in check due to the depth of Georgia's backfield. Like his first year at Georgia, he was the backup behind Nick Chubb and Sony Michel, because Georgia has a very good running back depth field. And also, there's a question of what kind of workload he's able to carry to the next level. In his 3 years at his 3 years at Georgia, he never had a season where he had 200 carries in a single year. The most he had in a single season was last year with 196 carries. So yeah, overall though, he does come into the league as a polished product. For his NFL comparison, he's had comparisons with retired running back Tiki Barber. He comes to the league, polished product. There's a lot of arguments to what kind of upside he has. He does have the untapped upside that could turn him into a generational talent in the long run. He's already impressive as it is, though. He should emerge, though, as a very good 3-down back in the NFL, and he could come in as a day one starter. So overall, for DeAndre Swift's college career, he played in 43 games, had 2,885 yards on 440 carries, averaging 6.6 yards a carry with 20 rushing yards. In terms of receiving, he had 73 catches for 666 yards, averaging 9.1 yards a catch with 5 receiving touchdowns. So he could be a playmaker anywhere you put him, He's a blue chip running back. There was a lot of mocks that had him being the top running back to go out the board in the draft. And for the Lions, he fell right to him at 35, and the Lions took him because the Lions did need a running back. Because you look at the backfield, Kerryon Johnson, his 2 years here, Kerryon Johnson has been productive, yes. The problem is, though, he can't stay healthy if his life depended on it. And Bo Scarborough, he's also had talent too, but he can't get it done on his own. So yeah, the running back became a need, and, DeAndre Swift checks off a lot of boxes. He was the right choice to go there. We needed a blue-chip running back, some blue-chip talent in general. He checks that box off. Because the Lions, they've been looking for a running back for over 20 years. We haven't had a great running back in the Lions since Barry Sanders. I think DeAndre Swift, he could be potentially the answer. He's going to be a future Pro Bowler. So could he be the answer that we've been looking for over 20 years? Has a lot of upside to be the next best running back since Barry Sanders. Because one of the things that Stafford's going to need to succeed now that he's never had was a run game. Because in Stafford's entire career in the NFL, Stafford's never had a top 15 running offense. I think the highest ranked running offense Stafford had in his career was 2013, when the Lions had the 17th ranked running offense. And that was also Jim Schwartz last year in Detroit. And that 17th ranking, that was also coming up. That was also part of that. Also was Reggie Bush's 1,000-yard season. Oh yeah, Reggie Bush was also the last time the Lions had a running back go for 1,000+ yards in a season. So yeah, DeAndre Swift, he checks off a lot of boxes. He could come in as a day one starter. He's also going to split some reps with Kerryon Johnson. I imagine Kerryon's probably going to be the starter at first. But if Kerryon goes down, expect DeAndre Swift to take over the duties of being running back one. And then Bo Scarborough can come in for the short downs or whenever they feel like throwing him in. Like if Kerryon Johnson could stay healthy, the Lions have a very deadly 1-2-3 punch in the backfield. So yeah, solid pickup by the Lions. Got a running back. So the next player we're going to go over here for the Lions, taken in the 3rd round, 67th overall, hailing out of Notre Dame, standing 6'4", weighing 248 pounds, we have edge rusher Julian Okwara. So for Julian's strengths, he's an edge rusher, has with prototypical physical traits. His best football still might be ahead of him, so he might be just scratching the surface of his potential. Has exceptional length, uses it well, both in keeping blockers out of his frame in the pass rush and when he drops into coverage. Flashes impressive skills in the pass rush, so he's very good in pass rushing the passer. And he's with the good get off and the heavy active hands, he can beat blocks, and has enough he has enough flexibility to turn once he's softened the edge. He also has the multi-directional athleticism to make plays in coverage. In terms of his weaknesses, though, for all his talent, though, he didn't have a lot of production at Notre Dame. He was a bit inconsistent. But too often, his closing burst, it wasn't quite enough to finish plays, so he has to learn to finish plays better. He does have some issues setting the edge in run defense, where a lack of functional strength will show up, so he has to get better in defending the run. And he's also coming off a season where he had a broken leg, which was a torn fibula on his left leg, will require a medical check in a November game against Duke, which caused Julian to miss the final 4 games of his senior season. So overall, he has plenty to work with for a position coach, looking for some multiple clay. He fits best as a 3-4 outside linebacker and sometime in an NFL weight room, plus a better game plan, so he could bulk up a little more. Better game plan, too, in the pass rush. It couldn't make him into a very quality starter. He was a very good steal that fell to us in the 3rd. A lot of mocks had him going mid to late 2nd round. He probably would have been a 1st rounder if he didn't suffer that leg injury. If he didn't suffer that leg injury, he would have gone first round. He also has some good NFL bloodlines, too, since his older brother, Romeo, is a defensive end for the Detroit Lions. So with this pick, we have an Okwara family reunion. And the Okwara brothers, at the time this pick was made, the Okwara brothers were the fifth brother combination to play on the same team in the NFL. That only lasted for 2 days, because Shatoilet decided to match that too, by uniting the Mack brothers together, because the Bears acquired him Khalil Mack's little brother. Damn it, Chicago's now trying to copy us. Bastards. So yeah, for his NFL comparison, he's been compared to Romeo Okwara. No, he's not been compared to Romeo Okwara. Instead, Julian's been compared to Samson Ebukam of the Los Angeles Rams. So yeah, very talented, and a lot of people have said that he's more talented than his older brother, Romeo. I mean, in terms of where both brothers went in the draft, Julian has the edge, because Romeo Okwara went undrafted and got signed by the Giants until the Giants told him to fuck off, and then the Lions took him, and that's when he broke out. And Julian went in the third round, so Julian has the edge there. But anyway, in terms of college production, Julian Okwara, he played 45 games, had 78 tackles, 24 tackles for a loss, 15.5 sacks, 35 QB hits, 4 forced fumbles, and 2 interceptions and 1 pass defended. So yeah, he can get turnovers too, and he can also get to the QB too, so he could be a pass rusher down the line. He might be benched at first, but he could come in down the line. Like, I think this definitely means that Christian Sam is going to be out of a job and probably be cut by training camp, He should come in and take over the role for Devin Kennard, who we lost in free agency. The big question is now, what does this mean for Jared Davis? Like, could the Lions maybe look at potentially trading Jared Davis down the line? If Julian's coming in to replace him, since Jared struggled the last couple years of Patricia's scheme. So yeah, very interesting. But yeah, we got another talented edge rusher. And keep in mind, for the defensive line, we still got some depth coming up, because Deshaun Han missed most of last year with injuries. He was injured for most of last year. Austin Bryant was also injured all last year with concussion, and Romeo Okwara had issues staying healthy last year. All three are going to be back, so the defensive line helping the edge rushing, there's depth there. So yeah, another solid pickup, another steal, and if he can stay to his potential and stay healthy, he should have every capability to be a Pro Bowler too. I mean, if he can really play better than his older brother Romeo, he definitely could be a blue chipper. We'll have to see down the line. But yeah, before we move on to the next pick though, I decided, in honor of the Okwara brothers reuniting in Detroit now, I made this little poem and song to unite this reunion together first. So enjoy real quick, everyone. Prepare for trouble. Make it double. To protect the NFL from devastation. To unite all Lions fans within our nations. To denounce the evils of fact and fiction. To extend our strength to the stars above. Romeo, Julian. The Okwara brothers will dominate the North at the speed of light. Surrender now or prepare to fight. Meow, that's right. So anyway, with that out of the way, let us move on now. So the next player the Lions took in the third round at the 75th pick in the draft, after the Lions traded up from the 85th pick with the Indianapolis Colts, giving up their 5th round pick, their early 5th round pick in this year's draft. So anyway, with this pick, the Lions select, hailing out of Ohio State, standing 6'3", weighing 310 pounds, they take guard Jonah Jackson. So for Jonah's strengths, he looks like a smooth operator in space during his time with Rutgers, because he first started off with Rutgers and then transferred over to Ohio State for 2019. So overall, his athleticism is enough if he can play with his proper technique. He's a natural leader, he's motivated, has a professional approach to the game. He's capable of absorbing bull rushers, not lose ground. He's comfortable anchoring from difficult positions. He's also able to recognize and handle stunts smoothly. He does flash some occasional nastiness after the whistle. In 2019 with Ohio State, he had an all Big Ten season, so he was selected to the all Big Ten team. He was also mainly responsible for opening up holes for J.K. Dobbins, another top running back in this draft, so he can also come in and open up some holes for DeAndre Swift too now. And he was also responsible for protecting Justin Fields, who's going to be one of the top quarterbacks in the draft next year. So now he'll have the opportunity to protect Matthew Stafford. In terms of his weaknesses, though, he has an underwhelming frame and a lot of playing strengths. He's a habitual holder. He's going to saw some flags with reckless hands, so he has to get better with his hand placement. And he's going to have to learn to not take stupid penalties. He does tend to lean into his blocks rather than keeping his head up, so he has to learn to not lean and do that. His hand usage is best classified as unpolished, so he has to, still has to work on his hands. He's unable to maintain angles in the run game for longer periods of time, so it's just brief, try and get the hole open quickly before it's done. So yeah, he's not a hard hitter. He shouldn't expect to blow defenders away with his power. Regardless, though, he's still a very talented guard on was ranked one of the top 5 guards in this year's draft class. For his NFL comparison, he's been compared to now retired guard Sean Walsh. So yeah, he's a very talented guard. Very good in the run game, also very good in pass protection too. So not only can he help open the run game up for Swift and carry on Johnson and Bo, he can also give Stafford some much-needed protection because of how bad Stafford got injured. So yeah, and also the Lions need a guard too to help replace some Graham Glasgow who left in free agency. And also someone to learn with Bo Benchwell. So yeah, overall, also for his college career, on 1,020-something snaps. I think it's around that range. But anyway, regardless, in that span, he only gave up 1 sack in college and gave up 10 QB hits allowed. So he's very good at protecting the QB in terms of pass protection. So yeah, he does give Stafford so much needed protection. Definitely can become a starter in the long run for sure. So yeah, another solid pickup, a great pickup here. So the next player we have here, Haley, taken with the 121st pick in the 4th round after the Lions traded down from pick 109 with the Las Vegas Raiders. In exchange, the Lions also pick up a additional 5th round pick too. So yeah, we'll go over that 5th round pick in a little bit. But yeah, so yeah, whatever the Lions lost to get Jonah Jackson, the Lions got it back with this pick. But anyway, with this pick, the Lions take Haley out of Kentucky. Standing 6'6", weighing 315 pounds, they take guard Logan Stenberg. So for Logan, he's your prototype run-blocking guard. For his strengths, a few linemen in the class are better battling in the phone booth than Stenberg. He's a country-strong mauler, has powerful arms and vice-grip hands, latches on and imposes his will on defensive linemen. He's at his best when he gets rolling straight forward in a run game. He has the lower body power to generate immediate push. His effort is there in pass protection and where he can win early in the down. And also, in terms of pass protection, the last 2 years with Kentucky, he hasn't allowed a sack in 2 years at Kentucky. And I think he only gave up 1 QB hit also in that QB pressure in that 2-year span. So he's very good at getting protection there. Very solid in the run game and can also open some holes up. In terms of some weaknesses, though, he does come a little short as an athlete. He's a stiff, upright race bender, has issues when facing quickness and athleticism. He isn't going to land many blocks in the space against a lot of NFL athletes. Lacks the foot speed to get out in front of the play. Once he gets on his path, he doesn't change direction well enough to hit moving targets. He'd likely be a top popular target for opposing defensive coordinators that want to look for a advantage matchup in the pass rush. So overall, he does hold some appeal for teams that want to go heavy on gap blocking and want to establish a physical run game, which is what the Lions want to do. They want to try and get physical and get a power run game going, so he really fits the scheme well. He could end up working his way to a starting lineup in the future, so him and Jonah Jackson could be the starting guard rotation in the near future. He won't be it for everyone, though, so he's more specifically a scheme fit for a lot of teams that want to run the ball physically. But overall, for Stenberg, some NFL comparison, he's been compared to Oday Abushi of the Detroit Lions. So, and Abushi's one of our top linemen in the game too, on the line. So yeah, someone definitely can learn under from him. Yeah, that awkward moment when the player you're compared to is also your teammate. So yeah, this also means with this pick, that also means that Joe DeLay is on the hot seat now. He could be gone by training camp too, depending on what happens. I definitely think Stenberg's gonna learn down the line. But also keep in mind, Jonah Jackson also offers some position versatility too. He could play center too with like Ragnow, if we want to move Ragnow back to guard, but it seems like Ragnow's more comfortable at center. So yeah, we could have a good offensive line to run the ball down the middle and down the line when we have Stenberg and Jackson starting along with Frank Ragnow. So yeah, we got some solid O-linemen for the near future. Not bad. Solid pickup, can really help in the run game. Can also give Stafford some more protection too, because Stafford needs protection since he took a fucking beating the last 2 years when he's had broken bones in his back after spending the 4 years prior to Patricia with Caldwell staying healthy. Yeah, and once Patricia came over, that's when Stafford started having the back issues and the offensive line started crumbling. So now, it's like the Lions are now recognizing that, hey, the only way we're going to be successful now is if we run the ball. But yeah, regardless, still a very solid pickup for the Lions. Not bad. So the next player we're going to go over here in the Lions take with the 166th pick. This is the pick the Lions acquired from the Eagles in the Darius Slade trade. So with this pick, the Lions take, hailing out of Wisconsin, standing 6'1", weighing 200 pounds, wide receiver, Quintez Cephas, which I said he would fall to the Lions in the 5th, and he did. So anyway, in terms of his strengths, he's really athletic for his size and plays a lot bigger than his listed measurables may suggest. He's a twitchy mover, has the suddenness to get in and out of his breaks, to consistently square at the top of his routes. He showed polish as a route runner at all 3 levels of the game. Has the strong hands to snatch the ball. His leaping ability and core strength allows him to dominate in jump ball situations, so you can always count on him. You can go deep and he can nail it on a jump ball, so we can always catch it well in the air and wait for it. So you can always count on him for a deep threat, maybe. He's quick off the line of scrimmage. He's able to skate in the jam, which combined it with his natural feel for stacking defensive backs, it makes him a big threat on vertical routes, so he can be a good big play weapon. In terms of his weaknesses, though, a lot of experts, though, it's going to be fair to wonder if he could be the same kind of big play threat that he was in college in the NFL. Because he did work against some middling athletes in the Big Ten, but also one of the big reasons his draft stocks fell, because he was originally was ranked as high as a mid-second rounder, but his stock did take a hit because he had a subpar 40-yard time of around 4.6. But the big reason that he fell this far in the 5th round was because that his background is going to need a lot of serious investigation, because in the summer of 2018, he was suspended for the 2018 season and expelled by Wisconsin after he was tried and after allegations of sexual assault by 2 different women on the same night. So he was suspended as a result in the spring of 2018 and expelled. In the summer of 2019, both those charges ended up going to court to trial. And during that court session, the jury only needed 30 minutes to find Quintez Cephas not guilty on both sexual assault counts. And Cephas, as a result, was acquitted of all charges. The suspension was lifted by the NCAA, and he was reinstated by Wisconsin and then went back to being a big play threat. So overall, for his comparison, he's been compared to Chris Godwin of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And I've actually seen a couple NFL experts actually compare him to Michael Irvin, Hall of Fame wide receiver for the Cowboys, Michael Irvin. Because a lot of Quintez Cephas' physical similarities are very similar to Michael Irvin's. So yeah, there's something special with this guy. But overall, Cephas has shown the ability to win on a variety of routes, out of a variety of spots. If teams are very comfortable with his background, like if you can keep his head in check and make sure he keeps his dick in his pants, He could be a future starter and be a high-end number 2 wide receiver. So down the line, this is more likely going to be Marvin Jones' replacement and be the complement to Kenny Golladay. Because the only wide receiver that's going to be under contract next year at this point are going to be Marvin Hall and Kenny Golladay and Fulgham. Because Danny Amendola only signed a 1-year extension, and Marvin Jones is in a contract year, and this is more than likely Marvin Jones' final year in Detroit. Plus, Kenny Golladay is also about to be overdue for his first big boy paycheck. So yeah, Cephas can come in and now be Marvin Jones' replacement next in 2021. So overall for Cephas, he played 38 games in college, had 93 catches for 1,496 yards, averaging 16.1 yards per play, with 13 touchdowns. He can be a bit of a runner too. For rushing the ball, he had 46 yards on 5 carries, averaging 5.1 yards a carry, but no touchdowns. So he's a very good big play weapon, can be counted deep ball down the field. Definitely a nice compliment to Golladay. He probably would have gone in the second round, but, the 40-yard time and the sexual assault allegations dropped his stock immensely with the background there. But, hey, this is someone I definitely would take a risk taking. I would be comfortable taking the gamble. And plus, also, if you look back on Jeff Okudah's combine interview, Jeff Okudah said something interesting about Cephas. When Jeff Okudah referred to Quintez Cephas as the toughest wide receiver he ever faced. Because Okudah said that it doesn't matter what Cephas's 40-yard time was, and that football is played in between the lines, and he's a very good technician, and that Cephas was always somebody that Okudah had to change his game plan around. And he mentioned that Cephas was the only wide receiver to have over 100 yards on Ohio State. He really gave both Okudah and Damon Arnett hell. Even Damon Arnett, Okudah's teammate, said that Cephas was the toughest receiver he had to play. So yeah, with this pick, Okudah's got to be breathing a giant sigh of relief, because the one receiver he had issues covering in college is now his teammate. And now with Cephas here, Cephas and Okudah can now push each other now and get better off each other. So yeah, this is a very solid pickup. So now both of them can push each other to get better. So yeah, definitely a solid pickup, but not a nice solid steal. Has a high ceiling. Just gotta keep his head in check. But yeah, definitely got comfortable taking a chance on him. But yeah, we're gonna have to do some investigation on the accounts and see what truly happened. Kind of like the investigation we did over that Helani Tavai, Honolulu nightclub incident during the Helani Tavai's draft year. So the next player we're gonna go over here, hailing out of New Mexico State with the 172nd pick, the pick we acquired from the Raiders in the trade in the 4th round. And the interesting thing about this 172nd pick is that, oddly enough, this pick here, this was the pick we actually got from the Seahawks in the Quandre Diggs trade that we traded away to the Patriots for Daron Harmon. So what we traded away from the Patriots, we just got it back. So we just got back what we lost from the Patriots for Daron Harmon. So we got our return right back now. So anyway, with this pick, we take hailing out of New Mexico State, standing 5'9", weighing 193 pounds, running back Tyler Huntley. So Tyler Huntley, he gets the honor of being a who the fuck is that guy pick for the Lions this year. Since really, he definitely came out of nowhere. So overall, he's not only good in running the ball too, he's very good receiving the ball too, and he's very good in special teams too. Also had a 40-yard time of 4.37. So he's very fast. In terms of his rushing stats in New Mexico, he played 46 games. He had 2,197 rushing yards on 134 carries, averaging 5.9 yards a carry with 18 rushing touchdowns. In terms of receiving, he can also line up as a slot receiver too, and can be used to catch balls in the backfield and make a play there. In terms of receiving stats, he had 134 catches for 1,119 yards, averaging 8.4 yards a catch with 7 touchdowns. In terms of special teams, he never has done punt returns, but he has been great in kick returns too. He returned 59 kicks, had 1,521 return yards, averaging 25.8 yards per return, and he also returned 5 kickoffs for a touchdown. So he also has 5 special teams touchdowns. So he can be a big play weapon in running. He could be a weapon in receiving the ball. He can also be good in special teams too. So he's a very good utility running back with a good ceiling. I think he's going to be more so of a special teamer. So with this pick, it means that Jamal Agnew, Ty Johnson, and J.D. McKissick are all on the hot seat and all on the chopping block. So odds are 1 or 2 of them are going to be gone by training camp. I think the hot seat is more on Jamal Agnew, because Jamal Agnew really struggled last year. Other than that kickoff return, that punt return for a touchdown, Jamal Agnew played like crap. He even had a couple fumbling issues early last year. So yeah, I think Agnew's more in a hot seat than Ty Johnson and J.D. McKissick. But yeah, definitely someone that can make the roster be a special teamer, because we need to get some help on special teams. Because the Lions special teams last year was fucking atrocious. So yeah, very solid pickup. I like it. Not bad. So now moving on, the next player we're going to go over here. Taken with the 197th pick in the 6th round. It was the 6th round pick we swapped with the Indianapolis Colts in the trade up in the 3rd round for Jonah Jackson. So anyway, with this 6th round pick, the Lions select, hailing out of Utah, standing 6'2", weighing 328 pounds. They take defensive tackle John Penasini. So John Penasini, he was originally a JC transfer and then transferred over to Utah. He spent the last 3 years with Utah. The last 2 seasons at Utah, he's earned 2nd team All Pac-12 honors. He's also one of the top 5 ranked defensive tackles in this draft class against the run. So he's very good at run stuffing, so he can do everything Snacks Harrison used to do. So now we're beefing up the offensive line, getting some defensive tackle depth. And keep in mind, we need some depth too, because Mike Daniels left in the offseason. So we got another replacement there behind Nick Williams and Danny Shelton, along with, Deshaun Hand, who's going to be coming back from injury. So overall, for Penasini's college stats, he played 28 games overall in his college career. Had 80 tackles, 15 tackles for a loss, 5 sacks, 2 passes defended, so he can defend passes to get his hand up to disrupt the QB throwing lane. He also had 2 forced fumbles and 1 fumble recovery. So he can generate turnovers now and then and recover it. But yeah, he's mainly more of a run stuffer, so definitely someone that could be used in the roster here in the future. Get some defensive line help, because the Lions need some defensive tackles and some depth there. So yeah, not a bad pickup, very good run stuffer. Definitely could be the replacement of Snacks Harrison. Someone to bulk up the line with down the line, with Danny Shelton for the long run. So yeah, not a bad pickup. I like it. And the final player the Lions take in this draft class, taken in the 7th round with the 235th pick, hailing out of Ohio State, standing 6'3", weighing 285 pounds, we have defensive tackle / defensive end, Jason Cornell. So Jason, he has position versatility. He's a very good wave 5 tech defensive lineman. He can play defensive tackle. He can play defensive end. So he can also play edge too, so he can be a rusher there too and rush the passer. He could make the roster. We'll have to see. He has a lot of potential to do it here. He was very underlooked and undervalued at Ohio State, because for Ohio State's defensive line this year, all the focus and hype and attention was on Chase Young. And that really lowered other guys' ceilings and publicity. So he was very underlooked and undervalued there. So overall, for his college stats, Jason played 34 games for Ohio State. He had 62 tackles, 14.5 tackles for a loss, 7 sacks, 2 forced fumbles, and 2 fumble recoveries. So he can recover the ball too, and he can get some pressure to the QB. He's a very good development back. He has versatility. You can put him anywhere on the defensive line. With Matt Patricia, he likes to have players that can do position first utility, so he can put them anywhere in and they can make an impact. So yeah, definitely someone to keep an eye on maybe in the long run if they can make the team or not. But yeah, very undervalued, has a very good chance to make it in. So yeah, very interesting pick here. So the Lions load up and add more depth to the defensive line. Not bad. So yeah, anyway, that is the Detroit Lions 2020 NFL Draft Class. So one more time, I'll go over the class. So, the Lions 2020 NFL Draft Class, Jeff Okudah, DeAndre Swift, Julian Okwara, Jonah Jackson, Logan Stenberg, Quintez Cephas, Jason Huntley, John Pennicini, Jason Cornell. Welcome these 9 names to Detroit. So overall, for this draft class, the Lions did a really good job. And actually, believe it or not, when I check the needs chart, the Lions, believe it or not, actually addressed every single need they had on the roster. They addressed corner. They addressed running back. They addressed the edge. They addressed guard. They addressed receiver. They also addressed defensive tackle. I think that checks off all the boxes. And this class, out of all of Bob Quinn's draft classes, this is easily the best draft class he ever had. How they all fared, time will tell. In terms of giving the class a rating, a grade, it's too really early to do that. We'll have to see down the line. At the moment, I'll give it around a B+, A-. It's around that range. Bob Quinn did a very solid job here. So let me break the draft class down. In this draft class, we got the top corner in this draft. We got the top running back in this draft. We got a top 5 edge rusher, a top 5 guard, a guard that hasn't allowed a sack in 2 years, a high-ceiling wide receiver that's a big play threat. You just need to keep his head on straight and have him keep his dick in his pants. We also got a utility running back that can run, that can receive, and that can also return kicks. We also got a top 5 ranked defensive tackle against the run. We also got a Wave 5 Tech defensive lineman that can play anywhere on the D-line and could make the roster. So yeah, and in this draft, the Lions took 3 players out of Ohio State. So yeah, the Lions started their draft with taking a player from Ohio State. They end day 2 of the draft taking a guard from Ohio State. And they end the draft taking a defensive lineman out of Ohio State. So yeah, 3 Ohio State players taken this year, Illuminati confirmed. So yeah, and also I should mention, this is definitely the best draft class the Lions have had in a long time. I think it's well over a decade was the last great draft class the Lions had. So yeah, folks, so all it took for Bob Quinn to have a very solid draft, or his best draft, was threatening to fire his ass. And overall for the draft, I honestly thought the draft was a success overall, not just for the Lions, but the event as a whole. Given the conditions and the global pandemic we're facing here right now, it was a very good virtual draft. There are a lot of questions about it coming in, and no real problems. There were no real glitches. So the line, it was a very solid event. Of course, y'all know the ratings. Round 1 of the draft brought in 16.5 million viewers, which is an all-time record for the draft. In the 3 days of the NFL draft, it brought in a total of 55 million viewers, which is a record. So despite a coronavirus pandemic, the NFL draft still continues to break records. Because last year, the NFL draft broke the attendance record from most fans that showed up during the week. I think it was over 200,000 or 500,000 fans total. Especially on night 1 when there were over 200,000 fans at the draft last year for round 1. Like last year's draft, you saw fans littered across the entire Nashville Strip. It was a beautiful sight to behold. And also, this draft also, with the NFL Draft-a-thon, it also raised over $100 million from COVID-19 relief. So yeah, that's also a very good sign too, helping those in need. And also paying salute to all the brave men and women, all the brave nurses and doctors that are on the front lines battling disease. So yeah, to anyone here that's a doctor or a nurse, or is on the front lines battling the disease head on, salute to all of you from the One Pride family. Especially to any Lions fans that are on the front lines, salute to all of you also. From me to you. And I can relate to you. My mother is a nurse at a retirement home, so I can relate to it. So I can relate to it to know how she's going through with this. She hasn't really dealt with anything bad yet, but sometime down the line, maybe. We'll have to see. But yeah, anyway, hopefully by next year we'll have the draft back to normal where it will be in public and fans can gather. All I know is that next year's draft is in Cleveland, and the 2022 draft will now be in Las Vegas. So in 2022, we'll try to draft in Vegas again. Hopefully this time it won't be an end in a pandemic. And yeah, I'm actually debating about going to the 2021 draft because it's in Cleveland, and that's actually not far away from where I live. It's like a 3-hour drive. And I know some cheap hotels that are less than $100 a night in Cleveland. So yeah, I'll debate about it. So maybe next year's draft, I could turn that draft weekend into vlogs. If the world can get back to normal and stop and time continues. And this pandemic ends and coronavirus can finally rot in hell. But yeah, overall for this draft, and we addressed all the needs. Overall, I'm just sort of disappointed we didn't address quarterback, because we do need to get a quarterback in the future. Because don't get me wrong, as much as I love Matt Stafford, he's not getting any younger. And add on that, he's not going to be here forever. So, sooner rather than later, we're going to have to look at a quarterback to become Matt Stafford's eventual successor. Time down the line, within the next year or two, we're going to have to take a quarterback. Sometime around. I don't care if it's a first rounder or a second rounder or a mid rounder. Whatever the round is, we got to get a quarterback that can come in and learn for the next couple years. Because I think Stafford's under contract for 2 or 3 more years. So, yeah, we got to look at quarterback in the future. And plus, Stafford's back injury last year is no laughing matter. So, definitely sometime in the near future, we're going to have to address quarterback. But yeah, anyway, that's going to wrap it up for this draft recap. Solid draft overall. Later this week, for the normal episode of Free Agency Wars, we'll go over any the undrafted free agents. I'll go over a couple key ones that the Lions get. But yeah, anyway, to end this video off, here's the highlight reel I have here with some music in. So yeah, that's all I gotta say. Hope everyone's a great day, and yeah, peace out and cue the music.
Feel the sting of the sweat. time. And still they ill and wanna see us ride. I guess because the only God knows why. Cowboy, I'm a singer in black, so throw a finger in the air. Let me see where you're at. Say, let me hear where you're at. Say, I'm giving it back, so say, show me some metal. Say, fuck all y'all. I like AC/DC and ZZ Top. We'll see this beast, he's in the King's on block. Skinner, Seaver, Lip, Core, the Stone. David Allen Cole with no show Jones. Yeah! Pass that bottle around. Got the rock from Detroit, soul from Motown, the underground soul. Fucking him with tracks that Mac and slap back to back. Never gave away, I don't play with that. But watch me rock with Liberace Flash. I'll rock the glass, boy bands are trash. I like Johnny Cash and Grandmaster Flash. Flash, 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 flash. They call me Cowboy, I'm a singer in black. So throw a finger in the air, let me see where you're at. Say, let me hear where you're at. Say, I'm giving it back, so say, show me some metal. Say, yeah, I saw your band jumping around on stage like a bunch of wounded ducks. Maybe they'll learn, sucker. You just can't fuck with. American badass, watch me kick. You can roll with rocks or you can suck my dick. I'm a porno flick, I'm like do it. You play the guitar on the MTV. That ain't working, that's the way you do it. Money for nothing and you choose for free. Now that ain't working, that's the way you do it. Let me tell you, damn guys ain't dumb. Maybe get a blister on your little finger. Maybe get a blister on your thumb. We got to install microwave ovens, custom kitchen deliveries. We got to move these refrigerators. We got to move these color TVs. Move on, move on. Install microwave ovens, custom kitchen deliveries. We got to move these refrigerators. We got to move these color TVs. Look at ya, look at ya. I should have learned to play the guitar. I should have learned to play them drums. Look at that mama, she got it sticking in the cameraman. Oh, look at that, so. And he's up there. What's that? Hawaiian noises. He's banging on the bongos like a chimpanzee. Oh, that ain't working. That's the way you do it. Get your money for nothing. Get your chicks for free. We got to install microwave oven, custom kitchen